Okay, let's wait for the others to join as well.
Shoaib, I have a questions in the meanwhile.
Yeah, good.
Shoaib, so currently I'm living in Belgium, and I'm searching for a few jobs. In the job description, they have mentioned some CISP, CCIS, something those courses related to cybersecurity.
Okay.
Is those courses? I know it's all like advanced courses. But is this something like we can do in the meanwhile while doing this course, or is it something like after completion of
Uh,
this basics and then we can
they're
start?
they're quite manager level courses actually, Shikhar, CISSP and CISA. So
Okay.
again, I would and mostly they're related to this something called what do you call that? Compliance testing. So in an organization, you usually when you're the manager, you would look for compliance issues. Okay, if your company is following the ISO compliance in India, HIPAA compliance, HIPAA for health, and various banking organizations
Okay.
in
And
foreign countries. So
so
again, that
after
is usually a very theoretical courses. You can do them anytime actually. So, but
uh,
again, nothing practically in those courses. So you
uh,
can just simultaneously learn those anytime.
okay. So after this course, is there possibilities like I can try for SOC analyst, or is it something any additional course that I have to do for SOC analyst?
Again, this course covers a bit basic of that, but again, usually when you talk about SOC analysis, you will work on SIM tools, SIAM tools,
Uh,
security incident and event management tools, tools like Splunk, Alien Vault, QRadar. Okay.
uh,
So again, in this course, I do provide resources on how to run on Splunk. So that should be more than sufficient to understand or
okay.
apply for job roles of SOC analysis. Okay.
Okay.
It's not covered in this course practically because again, that's altogether a different course. But I do provide resources for that, books and Udemy courses again for free, which you can go through and should be sufficient. Wouldn't
Okay.
take more than a week to go through it.
Okay. So I don't have to do any additional course like SIEM, right?
No, again, I'll be providing that course myself, again, as mentioned, Sheikh, as a resource, a bonus resource.
Okay. So the whole
This
concept is
course
after
and that,
doing
yeah, good.
the whole concept is after doing this particular course, then I'll be eligible to apply for some jobs.
Yeah, again, after this course is done, you can start applying for ethical hacking job roles or penetration tester job roles, security consultant job roles, security analyst or SOC analyst job roles as well
Okay.
after
So,
this course is done.
yeah. I heard like lots of security analyst jobs are there. So most probably then I can apply for them.
Right, you can. That
But
should.
yeah, but the additional course which I mentioned, so those I can do at any time. So all those are theoretical courses,
Those
correct?
are, yeah, theoretical courses. Nothing practically. You don't perform penetration testing or anything in those courses. It's all about you memorizing certain rules and conditions that an organization should follow, security wise, security guidelines.
Understood. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm.
And also all about yesterday's. So is those recordings has been like saved somewhere?
Oh yeah, these recordings are being uploaded on YouTube actually, Shekhar. And once you are registering for the course, they will actually share these recordings directly to your Google Drive as well. Did you register already?
I've already registered. I've already paid for this course, but I'm not getting any link from DurgaSoft.
Oh, again, since these are these are being run as demo sessions right now. So once these end, you'll get all these recordings at one go itself, Shekhar.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We'll just wait for a few more minutes, Shekhar, and see if the others join. If they
Sure.
do, well and good. If not, I might have to hold the session for today because again, so if it is just one person or so, Durgasoft might themselves hold the batch, keep the batch on hold until they get a list of students. So not
Okay.
sure. I have to check for others. Okay, guys. We'll just wait for a couple more minutes and see if others join. If not, we'll start the session today. There's Shikha, Shrikant, multiple students. Nice. So let's get started without any further ado. In today's class, we are supposed to be talking about the various categories of these IP addresses. What are classes, what are public IPs, and what are private IPs? Okay. So let's talk about public and private IP first, and then we'll discuss about the classes as well. Okay. So when you talk about public and private IPs, I can explain this better with this simple diagram. Now, usually at our home networks, we have a Wi-Fi router, and this Wi-Fi router is what connects all the other devices at our home wirelessly. So you might have your laptop, you might have your smartwatch, you might have your smartphone, your smart TV, whatnot. Okay, all of these devices are now interconnected with one another wirelessly through this Wi-Fi router. Okay. And each of these devices now is your private device, is a device in your local network, which is also commonly known as the intranet. And any of these devices, when they have to communicate with one another, they use something called private IPs. So private IPs are basically the IP addresses used within private networks, such as home networks, office networks, organization, etc., for local communication. Okay. And just with private IPs, guys, you cannot access the internet. So they are not directly accessible from the public internet. So from your home network, you cannot connect to any website or you cannot connect to someone else with just a private IP. For that, you need something called a public IP. Now, your router gets a cable from outside your house. Okay. So it can be getting an optical fiber cable or an RJ45 cable or whatever it is. And that cable is provided to you with the ISP. So the ISP, Internet Service Provider. Okay. So Airtel, Act Hibernate, Idea, whatnot. Okay. In US, you might have ISPs like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. All of these ISPs are the organizations which provide you the connection of internet. And that happens with the public IP. So public IPs are the IPs which are globally unique IP addresses used to identify devices on the internet. Okay, and they're provided or allocated by the internet service provider. And these are the IPs actually which are routable over the internet. Okay, so when any of these devices wants to communicate with a web server like Google.com, first your let's say your phone, if you want to search for Google.com on your phone first sends that request to the router. This communication happens on private IPs. And from there on, from the router to the ISP and from the ISP to the Google, this connection happens on public IPs. Okay, so public IP is the IP used to connect or send traffic over the internet. Private IPs are the IPs which are used for communication in your local network. Okay, and these two IPs are connecting or communicating with each other with the help of a device called a router in between. So router is a device which allows you to have a communication possible between two different networks, a public network and a private network, etc. Okay, so again, this is what public and private IPs are for, guys. Private IPs are for local internet communication. Public IPs are for internet communication or the internet access, web access. Okay, and if you have to check any of these IPs, if you want to check your public IP, all you have to do is go to your browser, and in your browser, you search for what is my IP, and this shows you your exact public IP. So right now, my system is getting the public IP 49.204.239.172. And if I wanted more information on this, I can click on any of these websites. What is my IP.com or what is my IP address.com? And that gives you information regarding your ISP as well. So right now, this public IP is being provided to me by my ISP Beam Telecom in the region of Andhra Pradesh in India. Okay. Simultaneously, if I have to check my private IP, I just have to open up my command prompt. So I can search for CMD. And in my command prompt, I can run a simple command called ipconfig. Okay. And this provides me the private IP. So right now I'm connected on my Wi-Fi adapter. So for my Wi-Fi adapter, this is the private IP received on my system. Now you might have a question, why is this IP specifically starting from 192.168? And why is this IP starting from 49, etc.? So each of these public and private IPs, guys, has a certain range to it. Okay. So as mentioned, there's one more category called classes. There's class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. And each class has a starting range IP and an ending range IP. And in between that class, in between the starting and the ending IP, there's a small private IP range as well. Okay, so we have to remember or memorize these ranges, guys. It's very important to memorize all these numbers. There's a simple trick to it. I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, but again, as mentioned, these ranges, the reason why I'm getting 192, 168 here and 49 something something here is because of these ranges itself. So every public IP and private IP has a certain range to it. And we'll talk about those ranges now. Okay. Before that, any questions or doubts up to this point? Shubha, Shekhar, Shrikant,
I'm good.
right? So coming back to the ranges now, as mentioned, class A starts at the first IP here, 0000, and class E ends at the last IP, 255, 255, 255, 255. Okay. So again, the whole range of IPv4 addresses from the first one till the last one is divided in 5 categories called classes. Now, class A starts at 0000 and it goes up to the number 127, 255, 255, 255. If this is ending at 127, what would the next IP be, guys? So after 127, 255, 255, 255, these 255s cycle back to zeros, and this 127 increments by one. So class B starts at the next IP, 128,000. From 128, it goes up to 191. And since it is ending at 191, class C starts at 192. From 192, this goes up to 223. And since it's ending at 223, class D starts at 224. From 224, it goes up to 239. And since it is ending at 239, class E starts at 240. And from 240, it goes up to the last IP, 255. So on the left panel, if you notice, all the ending three octets are always zeros. And on the right panel, all the ending three octets are always 255s. So all you have to do is remember these four numbers, 127, 191, 223, and 239. And from those four numbers, you automatically get the range for the next class. Class A 0 to 127, class B 128 to 191, class C 192 to 223, class D 224 to 239, and class C 240 to 255. And in each of these classes, again, there's a set of public IPs and a set of private IPs. So between 0 and 127, there's a small range, 10,000 to 10,255, 255, 255. This is the private IP range in Class A. Any IP within this range is a private IP, and any IP outside this range is a public IP. Okay, so between 0 and 127, only the 10 dot numbers are private IPs. Similarly, in Class B as well, from 128 to 191, there's a small range, 172.16.00 to 172.31.255.255. This is the private IP range in Class B. Any IP within this range will always be a private IP, and any IP outside this range will always be a public IP. Okay. And similarly, in Class C as well, between 192 and 223, there's a small range, 192, 168.00 to 192, 168, 255, 255. This is the private IP range in Class C. Any IP within this range is a private IP. Any IP outside this range is a public IP again. And in Class D and Class C, you don't have any private IPs at all. All of them are public IPs itself. To elaborate on this, if this is still a bit unclear, if we take the example of Class A, it starts at the first IP 0000 and goes up to the number 127, 255, 255, 255. This is the entire Class A range. And in that entire Class A range, there's a small range of private IPs from 10,000 to 10,255, 255, 255. That's the private IP range. Any IP within this range is a private IP, which means can be used in your local network, in your home networks. And any IP outside this range, which means from 0 up to 10, which is like 9, 255, 255, 255. And after 10, from 11 to 127 again. So these are the two sets of public IPs, one on each side. Okay, so in any class, this would be the same scenario. You have a small set of private IPs in between and two sets of public IPs, one on each side in each class. Okay, is that clear? Everyone, Shekhar, Shrikant, Shubha.
Clear.
Right. So this is clear. What we'll do is we'll just perform a small exercise now here, guys. What I'll do is I'll write down some random IPs in a textpad file. And looking at these ranges itself, you tell me which IP belongs to which class and whether they are public or private IPs. Okay. So let me quickly write down some IPs first. Okay. Okay. So what I've done over here is I've just written down some random IPs, guys. Now, looking at these ranges here, tell me which IP belongs to which class and whether they're public or private. So let me give the answer for the first one, or the first couple ones, 10, 11, 1, 2. Okay, so now looking at this number here, 10.11.1.2, when we look at the first octet here, it's 10. So that 10 definitely falls between the number 0 and 127. So therefore, this is a class A IP address. Now, once you know that this is class A, you would look at this specific range. Now, for an IP to be a private IP in class A, first octet should be 10, and the remaining three octets can be anything from zeros to 255s. So here we have the first octet 10, and the remaining octets between 0 and 255s. So therefore, this is definitely a private IP. For an IP to be a private IP in class B, first number should be 172. Second number should be from 16 to 31, and the remaining two octets should be from 0 to 255s. And for an IP to be a private IP in class C, first number should be 192, second number should be 168, and the third number and fourth number can be anything from 0 to 255s. So now when we look at the next number here, it says 192. So 192 falls in class C here. So this is a class C IP address. And now when we look at the private IP range, first number should be 192. That seems to match. Second number is 169. That seems to be outside the range here. So for an IP to be a private IP, second number should be 168. But what we have here is 169 instead. So therefore, this is a public IP. Okay, so this is how you can categorize which IP belongs to which class and whether it's public or private. Okay. Looking at this number, can you give me the answer now, guys? 192, 168, 0.3. Which class and whether public or private?
It's a class C and it's
Perfect
private.
answer. Perfect answer. Next one. 49, 254, something. Any answers, guys?
Class A,
Class A.
Okay, class A, perfect.
public.
Or private? Perfect. Public IP. Why is it public? Because it's not falling in this range from 10 to 10. Next number, 172, 30, 40, 50.
Class B.
Class B, public.
Yeah, public.
Class B. Are you looking at the correct number, guys? 172, 30, 40, 50.
It's private.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's private. Yeah, it's falling under 31. So
it is falling, right? So between 16 and 31. So therefore, this is a private IP. Next number, 172, 35, 45, 55.
It is a class B.
Yeah, it is class B. Perfect.
yeah, it's a public.
Yeah,
Public.
public. Right. Next one.
It's again class B.
Class. No, it is 142. What are you asking about? 142 or 225? 225.
It's this
142.
Yeah, it's a class D public.
140.
Okay. 142.
It's
it's
class
public.
B, right? Shrikant.
Yeah, it's class B.
Yeah. Public or private again, guys?
Public.
Public. Perfect. Next one.
Next one is a class D public.
Class, which class again?
Class D.
D.
D. Are you sure?
Yeah. 225. Class E. Sorry, class E.
Again, don't get confused, guys. I'm just trying to see to get confident answers. Your first answer is right itself. It's class D itself. 225.
Class D. Because it's falling 224 to 239.
Right, class D itself, guys. Don't get confused. Okay. Just wanted a confident answer. Just wanted to check who's going to change their answers. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
back to this class D. Now, class D has public or private, guys?
Obviously public now. There's no private IPs in that.
Private IPs.
Right. So all of this is public IPs. Next one.
Class A.
Are you sure?
100. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Class A. Public or private?
It's public.
Perfect. Next number.
Class A again,
Okay.
and it's
Public
private.
again.
Public, are you sure?
Private. 10.
20.
But one answer is public and one answer is private.
Yeah, it's private.
Perfect. It's private.
Yeah, it's private.
Next number.
Class C.
Okay.
Class
Perfect.
C, public.
Public, yes.
Public. Perfect. Next number.
Class B.
Okay.
It's again public.
Perfect answer. Right. So that is how you figure out which IP belongs to which class and whether it's public or private IP guys. Now, again, from this, if we go back to my browser now, and if you look at this IP, can you tell me which class it belongs to? 49, 204, 239, 172.
This from class A.
Yes, it's class A. So it's between 0 and 127. So definitely 49 is class A. And if you notice, it is not falling inside this range. It is outside this range. So obviously, it's a public IP. And if I go back to my command prompt here, looking in this IP, can you tell me which class it falls under, guys? 192,
This
168.
class A.
Class C. Perfect. And is it falling in the private IP range?
No, it's a public.
No, it's a private.
It's private IP, right?
192.
168, 0.3. Isn't it private IP?
Yeah.
Private. Okay.
It's private, right? Okay, so command prompt will always give you private IPs itself. And your browser will show you a public IP. So this is the reason why this IP is, again, private, why it has 192, 168 in it. And this is the reason why this has 49 into over here. Okay. Now, you might have a question now, a very obvious question. Like, why do we have 5 separate classes? Why not just one single class with some public and private IPs in it? It would have made our task a lot easier. We wouldn't have had the necessity to remember these many numbers. So the reason why we have 5 separate classes is, guys, because again, every organization might have a different requirement for the size of their network. Okay. So some people might have small networks, some people might have large networks. So depending on the size of the network, we use each class. Okay. So again, each of these classes has a different number of network portions and a different number of host portions in it. So class A has 1 network portion and 3 host portions. Class B has 2 network portions and 2 host portions. Class C has 3 network portions and only 1 host portion. Class D and Class E have all network portions itself. There are no host portions in them. Now, as you're going down the line, if you notice, network portions are increasing in number. Class A has 1 network portion, Class B has 2 network portions, Class C has 3 network portions, Class D and Class E, 4 network portions. Okay. Now, to understand what these network and host portions are, we'll take the example of Class C first, which has only one host portion here. Okay. So when you talk about Class C, guys, where does the private IP for Class C start at? It starts at 192.168.0.0. So if you notice the range here, Class C private IP starts from 192.168.0.0. Okay. So if I open up my notepad file again, coming back to my notepad file for Class C, over here. So as mentioned earlier, Class C private IP starts at 192.168.0.0. And all of these 4 portions now, out of these 4 portions, the first 3 portions are network portions, and the last portion is the host portion. Now, to understand what these network and host portions are, let's go with the sequence of IPs first. Okay. So after 00, what would the next IP be? You have 01, next 02, next 03, next 04, next 05, next 06. That goes on all the way up to 0255. After 0255, what happens? That 255 cycles back to 0. And this 0 now changes to 1. Now, what I mean by network and host portions is that each host portion basically indicates an individual host in the same network. So 0.1 could be my Wi-Fi router. 0.2 could be my phone. 0.3 could be my laptop. 0.4 could be my smartwatch. As such, now I can assign each of these host portion values to each host in my network. So if we count each and every IP as such, from 0 to 255, you can assign a total of 256 devices. Okay, or you can contain a maximum of 256 devices. Okay, but as soon as the network portion changes, when 0 changes to 1, the network divides over here, which means now this is the last IP that you can have in that network. After that, this is altogether a different network, and you cannot communicate this device with any of these. Okay, so the network portion gives you identity for the network. So all of these devices now belong to the network of 192.168.0. And after that, the last portion indicates the host in that network. This is the 0th host in that network, the first host in that network, second host in that network. As such, you can connect a maximum of 255 hosts. Okay, so the host portion identifies what host it is in that network, and the network portion gives the name or the identity for that entire network there. Okay, so this is the 192.168.1 dot network. And in that 1 dot network also, we can connect a maximum of 255 devices. Again, in the 2 dot network, you can connect a maximum of 255 devices. So as such, in each class C network, we can connect a maximum of 255 devices, not more than that. So for a home purpose network or small organizations, where in my home now, I don't have a requirement of more than 5, 6 devices. In such a scenario, class C is perfectly suitable for. Okay. But in larger organizations or in multinational companies where they have a requirement for more than 255 devices, there class C is not a perfect solution. Okay. So what we have instead is class B and class A. Okay. Now, when you talk about class B, on the other hand, it has 2 network portions and 2 host portions. The first private IP in class B starts at 172.16.0.0. Okay. So after 0.0, we have 0.1, then 0.2, then 0.3, then 0.4, goes up to 0.255. After that, you have 1.0. So again, remember, class B has 2 host portions. So after 0.255, the network doesn't divide there. You directly have 1.0 after that. Then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 goes up to 1.255. Then 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 goes up to 2.255. Like that, the cycle keeps on repeating. And somewhere down the line, you would have 2.550, 2.551, 2.552, 2.553, 2.55, 2.55. Once both these octets are filled, now 16 changes to 17. Same logic again. As long as the host portions are changing, it just indicates a difference in the host. So this could be my first device, the second device, the third device. As such, I can connect a maximum of 255 into 255 devices, which is a total of 65,535 devices. Since you have 2 host portions, you would have 255 into 255 hosts. Okay. And when the 16 changes to 17, the network divides over there. Now, none of these devices can communicate with this network. Okay. Unless and until there's a router in between again. So if you have a router, then they can communicate. Then you have a possibility of communicating between 2 different networks. But without a router, network devices can only communicate with other devices in the same network. Okay. So from 17.00 to 17.255.255, that's a different network. 18.00 to 18.255.255, that's a different network. 19.00 to 19.255.255, that's another network. Okay. So as such, in each network, we can connect a maximum of 255 into 255 devices. And finally, when you come to class A, which has 1 network portion and 3 host portions, so from 10.0.0.0 all the way up to 10.255, 255, 255, all of them belong in one single network. When 10 changes to 11, the network divides over there. So in class A, we can connect a maximum of 255 into 255 into 255 IPs, the largest of all. Although practically speaking, that might not be a possibility, but logically at least, this is what the importance of classes is. Okay, larger the class, or again, higher the class, more devices you can connect. Okay, or a much easier way to remember, more the number of network portions, those many hosts you can connect. So in class C, since you have only 1 host portion, you can connect a maximum of 255 devices, not more than that. In class B, where you have 2 host portions, you can connect a maximum of 255 into 255 devices. And in class A, where you have 3 host portions, you can connect a maximum of 255 into 255 into 255 IPs, the largest of all. Okay. Class D and Class E have no private IPs in them, guys. So you don't have any host portions in them. All of those IPs are public IPs itself, but used for various other organizations. Okay, organizations such as research and development organizations, military organizations, government portals, or weather forecasting or weather broadcasting services. These organizations use Class D and Class E. They're not given to the general public members. They're for these special institutes, I would say. Okay. So that is the relevance of each class, guys. Okay, so higher the class A, the highest of all, contains maximum number of hosts you can connect. Class B, medium range. Class C, smallest range. Okay, is that clear? Shrikant, Shikhar, any questions?
All good.
Shrikant, any questions on your end?
No questions.
Right. So yeah, that's it for today's class, guys. Nothing further. A short session to understand what these classes are. So again, we're coming to the end of networking topics, guys. We only have a few more topics left out, and we'll cover the rest of them in the next session. So we'll talk about what subnet mask is, what is the relevance of each class's subnet mask, what is again, how do you assign a private IP to each system? What is the manual method to assign it from control panel, or the automatic method with a DHCP server? What is a DHCP server? What is the DHCP protocol? And what is a DNS server? What is the DNS protocol? Okay, what are special IPs? We'll cover all this in the next session, and that should complete our networking fundamentals. Okay, so we'll conclude that in tomorrow's session, guys. Okay, so that's it. Nothing further. We can exit the session here, and tomorrow will be the last demo on networking fundamentals. After that, we go into the practical classes. How do you set up a lab environment for the upcoming practical sessions? Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. Let's exit here and connect back tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.
Sure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Thanks, Shubha.